So, Diana, just 2 months ago, North Korea was talking tough, even talking war. What changed in 2 months?
Well, I see it's very hard to gauge what's going on in the minds of North Korea's leadership. But given the fact that this series since December of nuclear tests, long-range missile launches has resulted in sanctions by the UN, it's very possible that these sanctions are simply biting. If you think about it, the Kaesong industrial complex, that shared economic zone between North and South, has been closed. That's a key source of hard currency into North Korea. That's one point. Also, we had this summit between the Chinese president and President Obama just last weekend, where both promised to press harder on North Korea towards a denuclearized North Korea. And it's very possible that China is exerting pressure on its own ally. And for North Korea, that Chinese partnership is very, very crucial. They get pretty much all of their fuel from China. And in recent months, we've seen what can be described as sort of increasing frustration on the part of China from this sort of very aggressive rhetoric coming out of the North. So all of those various factors perhaps are what is making the North Korean leadership now suggest talks with the US, particularly in the wake of the collapse of talks between South Korea and the North earlier this week, Asiye.
I find it interesting that North Koreans even said on state television they want to leave it up to the United States to decide where and when these talks might take place. Another sign of sort of conciliatory message there. Have they said any kind of conditions for these talks?
Yes, they have, and those conditions are quite clear. One of them is that the US can't impose any preconditions of its own if it's serious about making these talks happen. The other is that they want this armistice, which is the agreement made after the Korean War between North and South, which means that technically they are still at war with one another. And that is, of course, the agreement under which US troops are still positioned on in South Korea. They want that replaced by a peace treaty, and they said that they're prepared to talk about denuclearization, which of course is the only point upon which the USA will be prepared to talk. And I think also what's important to remember is that it was only in February 2012 that there were last high-level talks between the US and North Korea, with Glyn Davis, the special representative for North Korea in the US, and a key North Korean official in Beijing. And there they agreed on significant headway on the process of denuclearization, but those talks were basically overcome when in April last year North Korea launched a long-range missile which it termed simply a rocket, and then sanctions ensued. So it's not so long ago that we had this kind of discussion about talks under this new leader, Kim Jong-un.